that you could obtain from both the procedures are nearly identical. Okay, but there is some slight difference. So now the questions comes that we have seen this, like how you could design an optimal classifier. So for designing an optimal classifier, so the prior probabilities capital Pwi and the class conditional probability density function, that is small px given wi, which was given, but it may so happen that all the times this in any machine learning applications that if you have this complete knowledge, then it's fine. But if this density function is not given to you, okay, then you'll have to estimate the density function. Or if you assuming that you have some training sample points, and training sample points follow some distributions, and if it is a parametric distribution, and in the parametric distribution, if you consider for the normal distribution simply, then you have the two parameters. One is the mu, another is this sigma square, or you have the covariance matrix. You have this single variate, then you have the sigma square, and if you have this multivariate, then you will have the this is a sigma. Okay, but it may so happen that if one is given, another is unknown. Okay, the density functions will be given to you, but it may so happen that you need to find out this what are the parameters. These parameters must be estimated. So parameter means you can estimate the mu, and you can estimate the variance, or you can estimate the mu and you can estimate this covariance. Okay, so now this MLE, so that is called the likelihood estimation, and there is a term is called the maximum likelihood estimation that we'll see, and we'll take only one case, that is the Gaussian case. For these multivariate Gaussians, that we'll see how you could estimate these unknown parameters mu and this sigma. Okay, but the problem of parameter estimation is actually a classical problem. Okay, in pattern recognition course that you can have, and it can be solved in many different ways. So there are basically two common methods. So because the PPT that I am sharing, this is from Duda book. So now these two common method. So to obtain, I mean, there is two common reasonable procedures. One is called the maximum likelihood, and another is called the Bayesian estimation. So although the results are more or less identical, but these two approaches means conceptually that you could say. So you can find some difference. Okay. Now what are the difference? Now in MLE maximum likelihood estimation and some other method that you could find that or you could visualize the parameters as a quantities. Okay, where the values are fixed. Okay, so now the mu and sigma, and this pattern is given to you. I mean, this you know the distribution, but the values are fixed, but it is unknown. You need to estimate it, and the best estimate of their value that you have to do is defined in such a way that which maximizes this probability for obtaining the samples, okay, which is actually observed. It means that you have a samples, and you have some training data set irrespective of any class, because from the different class, I mean, the classes are independent here, and you need to find out the mu and sigma in such a way which best describes the distributions. That is the main thing. Okay, now that if you are assuming some distribution, if the distribution you are assuming this is a Gaussian distributions, and this Gaussian distribution, I mean the data points, or you can have the samples, or you can have the training samples points which follows a Gaussian distribution. Suppose I am assuming, and you have to estimate its parameter mu and sigma in such a way which best describes the distribution. So that is the thing. Okay, so where whose values are fixed but unknown, and the best estimate that you are going to find out is that which maximizes this probability of obtaining the samples. I mean, it best describes the distribution. That is which is actually observed. I mean, the observations samples that you have, so that base describes this distribution. Okay, so now that is the way. And on the other hand, the Bayesian methods, it view its parameter as a random variables. Okay, it view its parameter, but here in the MLE, the parameters are fixed, but it is random.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, are you changing the slides?
No, I'm not changing this slide. I'm just
Okay,
explaining.
okay, okay, okay.
Okay. I'm just explaining you the difference between the maximum likelihood estimation and the Bayesian parameter estimation. Okay. So now in a nutshell, so now in the maximum likelihood estimation, that these values are fixed, but it is unknown. But in the Bayesian method, the parameters are the random variables, but it will have some known prior distributions. Okay, so that is the main things that we'll see how we'll look for it. And now I'm changing the slide. So can you see the slide? Second slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now in the maximum likelihood estimation method, so you have a number of very interesting attributes or very interesting features that you will have. And first, actually, it is considered they nearly have a very good convergence property. Okay, because if you apply the maximum likelihood estimation, because it has got very good convergence property, provided that number of training sample points are tending to very large training sample points that you have. Obviously, if you have very large training samples point, so it is going to be converged first, or it has got very good convergence property as the number of training sample increases. And also, this MLE method is more simpler than this Bayesian method. So that is why we'll be using it, because here the concept that we'll be using the likelihood function, and this from the likelihood function that will develop a log likelihood functions, and these likelihood functions will be differentiable, okay, at each place. Okay, now you'll have to, that is why it is more simpler than your Bayesian method, and it has got a very mathematical tractability ability, like it has got very good convergence property as the number of training sample point increases. Okay, so now here you can see this data availability in a Bayesian network. So here these parameters are not fixed, so it is a random. Okay, and we could design an optimal classifier if you need, because the concept is that you can design an optimal classifier that I already told, that if these two things is given. Okay, one is the prior probability, another is called the class conditional density function. But unfortunately, in real scenario, we rarely have the complete information. If you don't have the complete information from these distributions, from the that you have assumed, you have to estimate the parameter which best describes your training samples points. So that is the main job that you are going to do. Now you have to design a classifier from a training sample. So now, so I think so there is no problem for estimating this prior probability, because as I already told you, if you do not know the prior probability, then what you have to do, you have to just mix them up, all the training sample, and you just drawn certain percentage from this entire population, and this percentage, certain percentage will be considered as your this prior probability. Okay, that there is no problem with this prior distribution. And next is that samples which are often too small for class conditional estimation, then there will be problems. So here you have one important thing is that I just wanted to mention you that in this case the number of available, if any scenario, if the number of available samples are seems to be very small, then you may have attract some serious problem. Okay, because the thumb rule says that the number of samples must be the 10 times of the number of dimensions. If it is not, then there is a problem. Okay, now if you find that you have a very large dimension of feature space, but your samples is very small, then there is the problem, this called the small sample size problem. Okay, small sample size problem that you will arise. Okay, and so then you will have the difficulty for estimating this class conditional density function. So you please remember the second part. Okay, that if your number of available samples are small, then you may attract some serious problem. Okay, when the dimensionality of the feature vector is large. Okay, and so that is why you need to reduce the dimension significantly so that you could eventually compute the density function. Next is called this information is known a priori information about the problem that is given. One is called the normality, that p that is a density function px given wi, and where px wi can be understood or can be visualized by n of mu y into sigma. As I already told you, if you consider that the data are following a multivariate Gaussian, then you have the two parameters. One is the mu y, another is called the sigma i. Okay, and it is characterized by two parameters. Now we have to follow estimation techniques. One is called maximum likelihood. It is denoted by ML, and the Bayesian estimation. And results are nearly identical, but the approaches are different. Okay, so that is the case. We'll see now. The parameters in ML estimation are fixed. Okay, that I already told you, but it is unknown, and these best parameters are obtained by maximizing this means probability of obtaining these samples, this observer. I mean, you have to best describes. I mean, you have to find the parameter in such a way which best describes the distribution. Okay, that distribution, that which is being followed by the training sampling point or the observation sequences that you have. Now, Bayesian methods, it view the parameter as a random, okay, and having some known distributions. In both the approach, we could use that what is the probability of Wi is given x for your classification group that you already said. So now what is maximum likelihood estimate? So it has got very good convergence property that I already explained as the sample sizes increases, and it is very simpler than any other alternative method like the Bayesian technique. And it has got, now what are the general principles that people used to follow to find this maximum likelihood estimate of this thing? You have, suppose you are assuming that you have the C classes, okay, C classes, and that this P of x wj, which is being denoted by n of mu j into sigma j, and where px wj can be defined in this way, that is px wj theta j. Now the theta is a parameters. Okay, now the concept is that suppose you have a set of training samples. Okay, now you have a collection of samples for the individual classes. Now you have a C data sets. I mean, C class means you have these C separate data sets. Now I am assuming that the data sets is denoted by capital D1. D1 is there. Yes, as you can say, there is a capital D is there. Okay. Now this denotes that is an each class will having this. If you have C data sets, then it is denoted by D1, D2, DC, and with samples in DJ. Okay, these samples are drawn independently according to the probability. What is the law of probability? Probability of P of x into Wj. Okay, that is the density function. Now, if you just say that these samples are independent and identically distributed random variable, if you say that these samples that I have been drawn, which is what is the meaning of the IIT that I already explained, independent and identically distributed random variable, and you can assume that Pxwj, which is written over there, it has got a parametric form. Okay, and you have to determine its value of parameter vector. So what is the parameter vector? Theta j. Okay, and so it is being denoted by Px given Wj, it is n mu j into sigma j. Okay, here this theta j is being replaced. I mean, this theta j will be this mu j and this sigma j. So this theta j is called the parameter vector. It has got the p components. For each class, you will have this one component. Okay, so that is the meaning. And this theta j consists of the component of mu j and sigma j. So now here, you could write, instead of writing the pxwi, you could write pxwj into theta j, because in order to show the dependency of pxwj on theta j, because this density function will entirely depend on this parameter. So in order to have the dependency of the density function on this theta j, you could write explicitly that pxwj will be the pxwj comma theta j. So that is why it is written. And so your job is to that you have to use the information that can be provided by the training samples point. Okay, and you need to find or you need to obtain a good estimate for this unknown parameter vector. So what are your unknown parameter vectors? Theta 1 for class 1, theta 2 for class 2, theta 3 for class 3, theta c for class c. Okay, so you need to find what is the good estimate of my parameter vector which best describes the training sample point. So that is your job. Now to simplify these things, you can assume that these samples so that you can write this theta is equal to mu j into sigma j, where mu j1, mu j2, okay, mu j, I mean dot. Then you have this means sigma j 1 sigma j 2 COV. I mean, it depends that if you are using a univariate case, then you can have this sigma square, okay, or if it is a multivariate case, you will have to have this covariance, okay, means sigma of these things, covariance matrix. So that's why it has been written in this way. Okay, now what you are going to do, so you are going to use the information which is being provided by the training samples, and you have to estimate theta is equal to theta 1, theta 2, theta c, where I is ranging from 1 to c, and which is associated with each category. Now suppose that D contains, capital D is a sets, okay, that is a C set. You have the C data set, that is D1, D2, D3, DC. Okay, so that's why, that is suppose that you are assuming that samples in DI which gives no information about theta j. So this is your assumption, that so there is a no role of these samples of samples in DI which give the any information of the theta j. So that's why, because if I is not is equal to j, so if you are assuming that I is not, if both the class, what is the meaning of I is not is equal to j? It means that if the all classes are independent, okay, all sets are independent. So that's why, so there is no role that if you assume the samples in DI, I mean each sets give, there is no information of theta j, because for each set you will have to compute the different mu and sigma, So that is why that you can have, you can assuming that the parameters for the different class are functionally independent. So the parameters for different class, so class means you have the C1, C2, C3, okay, or you can have the D1, D2, D3 in this way. So instead of taking this C1, we are taking as a D1, okay, because it is a set contains, because this D is a samples irrespective of any classes. So that's why we are taking as a capital D. It is a entire set, or you can say the power set. So that's why. So D does not is related directly to the any class specific samples. So that's why D is a generic term that is using for the sets which contains n samples, x1, x2, and x3, isn't it? And so that is why you can assume that the parameters for the different classes are functionally independent, because there is no role that these samples is belong to this class or these samples are coming from the that class. So that's why these are the functionally independent. So these things that you can use as a class separability, and you can use that is being so we are not every time we are going to use this is a d theta comma wi, so we are not using every time this thing, and you can assume that that you have these C separate problems for the following form, and D are the training sample which are done independently, and you have the density function that is a px theta, and you need to estimate the parameter vector theta. Okay, so now these are the formula. Suppose if you have the D contains n samples, x1, x2, xn, then because these samples were done independently, then you have that probability of D given theta, it is a product of that is a formula for the likelihood function. Okay, probability of D given theta. So now here we are just computing the likelihood function, that is a k is equal to 1 to k is equal to 1 to n pxk given theta. Now it can be viewed as a function of theta, and p d theta is called the likelihood of theta with respect to the set of samples. With respect to the set of samples, and the maximum likelihood estimate of theta is by definition will be this theta hat. Okay, that maximizes this p d theta. Now you have to estimate of theta. Okay, your job you have to estimate the theta. So now means whenever you can denote the estimated theta, you will have to write this theta hat or theta cap. So now this theta cap that you will have to estimate, which maximizes the probability of p d theta. So now this estimates to the value of theta. Okay, and in this case that it is the value of theta that based, as I told you, you have to find the what is the value of theta, means you have to compute this mu and sigma. You have to, it is the value of theta which best describes with the actual observed training sample. I mean the training sample that we have used which follows a particular distributions, then obviously after estimating this this theta, it will be close to the actual theta whenever you are going to estimate it. I mean it means estimated value will be the same as this actual value. Okay, now the estimated mean will be the same as the actual mean, and estimated covariance, if you can show that your estimated mean is same as the actual mean and your estimated mean is same as this actual covariance, it means that the distribution that you're going to use, it is actually fits your data. So that is the job that we are going to do it. So this is the things, this graph is already you can see in the Dudahart book. As you can see in the first graph, so you can draw the info that this graph shows that you can have several training data points. Actually, it is plotted in 1D. Okay, in one dimensional, and you have this total 4 distribution is there. So now none of the distribution, if you just see that in none of the distribution, each distributions will have its own mean and its own variances. Okay, and this it is known and it is assumed drawn from the Gaussian of a particular variance, but unknown mean. Okay, but it is 4 of the infinite number of distributions shown in dashed line. Okay, so now here there is an no particular distribution that you can extract. I mean, which can describe this entire data point. So suppose these are the data points which is denoted by the red one, but you cannot have the exact distribution which exactly describes this data point. Okay, so now instead of doing these things, if you just calculate the likelihood, so now if you just take the product of all the density function, then if you find the likelihood function, now this likelihood function is denoted in the second figure. Okay, so this is p of d theta, which is a function of mean. You can have this one maximum, as you can see. It is just a one Gaussian. This is in bell shape. Okay, so now this is a bell-shaped curve. It is an only one mean is there or one maximum is there, which best describes the data point. Okay, and if you have this large sample, so this curve will be very narrower. So more narrower curve that you're going to have, then you will have to have this good estimate of the mean. If you have this, if your curve is broader and if you have very less samples, then you will have the very broader shape of the distribution. And if you have this very broader shape, then whenever you are going to find the maximum, if you just see this is a third figure that you would get the maximum, but in the maximum, so there is a flat area. So if you in the maximum, so if you could find the maximum in the flat area, so there is a possibility that you may not have this actual or good estimate of the maximum. But if you have very narrow curve, then obviously you can find only one maximum. So that is the difference. So now in the middle figure shows that this is a likelihood function as a function of mean. And if you had a very large number of training points, so the likelihood would be very narrow, that I already explained. And the value which maximizes the likelihood, okay, now you need to find out which parametric value that maximizes the likelihood function. So it is just the mean, or there's a maximum point. It also maximizes. Now if you would like to maximize this, now the concept is that maximizes the likelihood function is same as the maximizes the log likelihood function. So please remember, so maximizing the likelihood function is same as the maximizing this log likelihood function, because for analytical purposes people are used to do, and it is very usually easier to work with the logarithm of the likelihood than the likelihood itself. That is the concept. So people are doing the, instead of maximizing the likelihood, so if you maximize the log likelihood, you will have the same results. Okay, because this log or logarithm is monotonically increasing. Okay, and this theta dot or theta cap that maximize the log likelihood, it is also maximizing the likelihood. And if p d theta, as you can see in the p d theta in the second curve, it is a well behaved and it is a differentiable function. So this function is a differentiable function of theta. Then the theta cap you can also find by standard method of differential calculus. So that is the main concept. So if you can find the theta, then you can also find the theta hat by using some differential calculus method. So now if the number of parameters that to be estimated is p, now we'll see the I think you have understood. So first one is this pattern, this is a curve of the likelihood function, and second one, it is a curve of the log likelihood function. As you can see, the second curve is a it is just a border, and this you can have the estimate of the mean in some portions, if you can find out the maximize the logarithm. So that is the log likelihood L theta, which is shown at the bottom. And even though they look very similar, so the likelihood p d theta is shown as a function of theta, whereas the conditional density p x theta is shown as a function of x. Okay, and this I mean function of theta and the likelihood p d theta, so it's not the probability density function. It is the area which has no significance. So actually, this if you just look at this your curve, no, so I mean the Newton would you can also find. So this maximum will be something like that here. Okay, it is just trying to find a alignment of the likelihood function and the log likelihood function. If you have less samples, so please remember, if you have less sample, then your curve will be broader. Okay, and if you have the large samples, so you will have to going to get the narrower curve. And if you have the narrower curve, obviously you can your estimate of the mean or estimate of finding the maximum value, that will be good estimate. So that is the main concept. So now, how do you do it? How we are going to do estimate? You have to do the differentiations. Okay, means if the number of parameters that to be estimated is p, small p, if you have, and let theta denote the p component vector, and it is denoted by theta 1, theta 2 till theta p. Okay, and it is a vector, it is a column vector, then you can write it in a row vector, and let this is a gradient operator. This is called the grad operator. Okay, so triangle ko ulta kiya. Okay, now this is a grad theta. It is a gradient operator. So now as the function is differentiable, that I already told, you need to find the first order derivative, and you have to compute the first order derivative and equal to 0. Okay, and that thing that you'll have to do. Now the grad theta is equal to, as you have the p component, then you need to find out this partial derivative. So del theta 1, del theta 2, then del theta p. Okay, that is a transpose t. Now if you have in the column vector, then you will have to all the things in the column. Now we define L theta can be defined as a log likelihood function. Now what is the log likelihood function? L theta will be LP. Now your function, that instead of taking this likelihood function, we are going to take the log likelihood function. Okay, because due to its analytical purposes, and also this logarithm is a mononomial increasing function, so that is also you can take it. Now L theta is equal to LPD given theta. So now you have a new problem statement, that is determine theta which maximizes the log likelihood. So it means that you need to find the value of theta for what this function is going to, the log likelihood function is going to be maximized. So that's why it is written theta hat is equal to arg max, then under theta L theta. It means that you can write our solutions as the argument of theta which maximizes the log likelihood. So where the dependence on the data set D is implicit, so obviously then thus we have from equation 1. So our equation 1 में क्या था? From our equation 1, what was our equation 1? That is a P d theta is equal to pi, k is equal to 1 to n. That this is your equation 1. So P d theta is equal to k is equal to 1 to n, P k x theta. Okay. So from the equation 1, you will have that L theta is equal to, you just simply put px L of, you have to take the logarithm. So k is equal to 1 to n ln px t into theta. Okay, and then if you just do these partial differentiations, then del theta L is equal to, you can have just simply, so the necessary condition for the optimum is that grad theta L is equal to k is equal to 1 to n grad theta, then L px t into theta, because whenever you are just going to take the log of the pi, so pi is a product, then if you take this, this is a log, then it should be, this is a summation operator. Okay, then so that's why it is there, k is equal to 1 to n grad theta L p x theta xk given theta, and it is equal to 0. So this is a necessary condition. Now what is the sufficient condition for optimum? Anyone can tell me? So this is a necessary condition that you take the first order derivative, I mean first order differentiation or first order derivative equal to 0. Now what will be your sufficient condition for the optimum? If you would like to take the at what values this function is maximized, then what you have to do? You have to take the second order derivative. You have to take the second order derivative, and if you find that this function is minimum, or if you have the negative value, then it is a maximum. If you have the positive value, then you have this minimum. If fx is negative for that values, then it is maximum. It is positive, then it is minimum. So now the solution, now you need to find the solution of the theta hat. Okay, then this equation, that is del grad theta L is equal to 0. So you could find a global maximum, you could find a local maximum or minimum. Okay, now you have to check at what point values these functions will be optimized. So now these things that we will find. So this is your main equation. So now as we are taking the Gaussian case, now this density function is given. Now you have the unknown mu, but this variance is, you have a known variance, but this mu is unknown. Okay, now to see this maximum likelihood method, you have to apply to a special case. Now these samples are drawn from a multivariate normal distribution or multivariate Gaussian distribution with mu. Okay, mean is mu and covariance matrix is sigma. Now first case, that mean is unknown but the variance is known. And under this condition, you consider a sample point xk and find what you have to find, that the sample point xk, that's ln log of pxk given u, that is equal to, so you just see the function of the multivariate Gaussian. Okay, minus half log of 2 pi root over d. Here it was a 2 pi to the power d by 2, then if you take the log, then it will just come out. Okay, now this minus half ln 2 pi to the power d, then the determinant of sigma, then minus half xk minus mu transpose sigma inverse xk minus mu. And if you just take the differentiation with respect to that since mu, okay, then because this is an unknown, this unknown is mu, then you'll have to do the differentiation with respect to mu itself. Now this theta mu, then you can find log of pxk mu is equal to sigma inverse xk minus mu. Okay, so now you just put it, because it is your density function. Now these functions will be plugging into your log likelihood functions. So what is your log likelihood function? Summation of k is equal to, so this was your log likelihood functions. Okay, that is k is equal to 1 to n, this summation of, so these things you have already computed, del theta ln p xk theta, that you have already computed, del theta ln xk into mu, that is a sigma inverse xk minus mu. Okay, now if you just if you just pre-multiply sigma both side, then these things will be omitted. Okay, if you just multiplying by sigma, okay, if you just multiply out this pre-multiply sigma in both sides, then what you are going to get, you can simply have k is equal to 1 to n summation of xk minus mu hat. So this is this mu that is going to be estimated. If this estimated means equal to this actual mean, then obviously it is fine. Okay, now if you just have k is equal to 1 to n xk minus mu is equal to 0, now are you getting this from where it is coming? Here you will have to have this multiplied by sigma or p multiply sigma and rearranging the mu hat. So this mu hat, it is an arithmetic average of the samples or all the training samples. So now as you can see now, that is an k is equal to 1 to n xk, okay, minus this. If you just simply consider the n, this is a mu, or it is a constant, then k 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus dot n, it is an n mu I. So now this mu is equal to 1 by n. Okay, or if you can simply have the theta, so you just forget about that. It is an, if you consider it is a theta, xk theta, then xk minus theta, then this xk summation of I is equal to 1 to n xk, then you have the n theta. Okay, if it is a theta, theta is a constant, it is just coming out, then you have summation of I is equal to 1 to n 1 plus 1 plus 1 with this is n theta. Now n theta is equal to summation of I is equal to 1 to n xk, theta is equal to 1 by n, that is nothing but a mu hat. So now this is an estimate. So now this is an estimate, so that's why 1 by n is coming. So you might be interested from where 1 by n is coming. So it is n theta. So theta is equal to 1 by n, I is equal to 1 to n xk. So that is simply but a u hat, mu hat. So it is just a arithmetic average of the samples of the training sample. Now the conclusion is that if xk given wj for j is equal to 1 to c is supposed to be a Gaussian and it is a d-dimensional feature space, then you can estimate the feature vector theta 1, theta 2, theta c, and you can perform this optimal classification. Okay, so now this is a very satisfying result, and this and it says that the maximum likelihood estimate for the unknown population mean is just a arithmetic average of the training samples. Okay, that is a this sample mean, or you can write it by that is a mu hat. Now another case, if you have this, there's another case that is a mu and sigma square. Okay, now if you have this mu is unknown and sigma is also unknown, then what you are going to get? If mu is unknown and sigma is also unknown, then this theta theta will be theta 1 comma theta 2. Now theta 1 is equal to mu and theta 2 is equal to sigma square. Okay, now as it is a single variate Gaussian, then you can have the formula 1 by root over 2 pi to the power sigma square exp of minus x minus mu over sigma square. Okay, so you can write it that if you take the logarithm in both sides, you have p of x given theta, that is a half of ln log n log, okay, 2 pi theta 2, because theta 2 is a sigma square, and you have this 1 by 2 theta 2 into xk. Now you have to do the differentiation with respect to theta 1 and with respect to theta 2. If you do the differentiation with respect to theta 2, then first term will be 0 and you will have only the second term. But if you do the differentiation with respect to theta 1, then this theta 1 term will be 0 and you will have to only differentiation with respect to theta 2. Now if you just do it, you will have the two component del theta 1, that is as I already told you, there's px k theta, then del theta 2 px k theta. It is a log likelihood function. Your likelihood function is only px k theta. Okay, that is a pi of something. It is a likelihood function. If you do the log, it will be summation. Okay, then if you do the differentiation with respect to theta 1, then you will have only one term, 1 by theta 2 xk minus theta 1, and also this del theta 1 is equal to 0 and del theta 2 is equal to 0, because as the theta 1 theta is having the m components or p components, then each component must be 0 because it is a first order derivative that you have to compute. Then del theta 2 xk minus theta 1 is equal to 0. But here if you just do the differentiation with respect to this theta 2, then you have the two part. One is by 1 minus 1 by half theta 2 is there, and plus xk minus theta 1 square to theta 2, because this differentiation of 1 by x minus 1 by x square, and it is minus minus plus, so that's why 2 into del theta 2 square. So that's why 2 term is coming. Now it is in simultaneous equations, then you will have to just solve it. Yeah, you have to do the summations, because you just plug in this first one. It is a pi of I mean, this is a summation of del. You just go to the over here, plug in these things. One is del theta 1 ln px k theta, then del theta 2, you just plug in here. Then you just equate to 0. Just you just plug in this entire things, that is k is equal to 1 to n sk minus theta 1 0. This is one equation, this is another equation. If you just solve it, okay, and combining this 1 and 2, you could obtain that mu is nothing but 1 by n, okay, I is equal to 1 to n xk. It is simply by the mu hat. So this mu hat, it is nothing but is your, so this is, you find this is a maximum likelihood. So theta 1 hat and theta 2 hat are the maximum likelihood estimates for theta 1 and theta 2 respectively. So now if you just substitute it, this mu hat is equal to theta 1 hat and mu sigma square hat is equal to theta 2 hat. And if you just do the little arranging, then you could obtain the maximum likelihood estimates for mu and sigma square. That is, mu hat is equal to 1 by n is equal to 1 to n xk, and sigma square hat is equal to 1 by n, k is equal to 1 by n xk minus mu hat whole square. So if you just do the analysis for the multivariate case, so it is basically very simple. Now you'll have to just do it by yourself. You could predict that this whenever means the result for the maximum likelihood estimate will be given by. Acha, can anyone just tell me? So if it is for this single variate, But if you have this multivariate case, now in the multivariate case, that what will be this mu hat and capital sigma hat? Can anyone tell me that if I do the differentiations with respect to the multivariate case, then what will be the mu hat and what will be the sigma hat? I mean capital sigma hat. Huh? Anyone?
Sir, they will be like inputs that you gave us in the lab class
No, you
for
just tell me
me
this.
and
No, you just tell me the formula. That's it. What will be the formula for the mu hat? If I extend this MLE maximum library estimation for this multivariate Gaussian, then what will be the mu hat? Estimated mean. क्या होगा उसका formula? It should be 1 by n, k is equal to 1 by n xk. Isn't it? It should be 1 by n summation of k is equal to 1 by n xk. And what will be the capital sigma hat? Covariance matrix का formula क्या है? What is the formula of covariance matrix? Sigma hat is equal to 1 by n. What is the formula for covariance?
X minus mu.
X minus mu, good. It should be 1 by n, k is equal to summation of k is equal to 1 by n xk minus mu hat into xk minus mu hat transpose.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because this estimate, you can find the maximum likelihood estimate for the mean vector. It is simply it is just like a sample mean, and the maximum likelihood estimate for the covariance matrix. What is it? It is just the arithmetic average of the n matrices. That's it. It is just the arithmetic average of the n matrices. That is xk minus mu hat into xk minus mu hat transpose. ठीक है? So this is you can just take it. Now another thing is called the bias. So bias means if the maximum likelihood estimate for the variance, if your variance sigma square is biased, okay, then the expected value over all data set of size n of the sample variance is not equal to the true variance. If it the case that if your sigma square is biased, then that the expected value that you are going to compute for all the data sets of size n of the sample variance, this expected value of the sample variance is not equal to the true variance. Okay, if it is then it is that expected of 1 by n sigma xi minus, or you can have this the expected value of 1 by n, it is sigma I is equal to 1 by n xi minus x bar square. It is just a constant variance that is equal to n minus 1 by n sigma square, which is not is equal to this sigma square. So now, and any elementary unbiased estimator for sigma, you can have this formula: c is equal to 1 by n minus 1. Okay, so you know the difference between this n and n minus 1. So if someone can take the value of 1 by n, and you can take 1 by n minus 1, because If you take the 1 by n minus 1, so there will be the sample covariance matrices. Okay. And if you have this 1 by n, then we will have these populations. Okay. So these are the difference, and there will be very slight difference that you can observe. So this just like that, and so this is a on next class. So I'll be discussing the Bayesian estimation. So if you have any doubts regarding understanding, you can ask me about this one. So it is a ML a problem statement that you can have. Maximum likelihood, so D is equal to x1, x2, xn. That is a capital P. Then you have the theta pi 1. Okay, pi 1 n. Then px theta 1. That is a cardinality of, means in the D you will have this in number of, I mean this size of the data set is n, so that's why it is written cardinality of D is n. So your goal is to estimate or determine theta hat, the value of theta, which makes these samples most representative. So these are the case that you can have D1, D2, DK, then you have the DC. Okay, then you have to find the maximum of D theta. Okay, that is simply what it is, a max of I k is equal, it is a likelihood function. So this function is called the likelihood function. But if you take the log, it will be, this is a summation. Okay, then you'll have to estimate it. Anyway, so this is all about things. So if you have any doubts regarding understanding, you can ask me. Okay. So this is very interesting things, and also in lab also you have to implement. Okay, this is a maximum likelihood estimate, and also in exam. So also you'll have to do. I'll give it to you. So next class I'll be taking only one example. It is just a theory. So I'll take one example, then I'll solve. I'll just tell you. Probably tomorrow. You all of you are free from 10 to 11.
No, sir, we have class.
Tomorrow is the Saturday. Saturday में क्या class?
Yes, sir. We have from 10 to 11 and 11 to 12.
Tomorrow is Saturday. So you have class on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Extra class.
Yes, sir. Extra classes, sir.
Who is going to take?
So
Huh?
one class is by DP, sir.
At what time?
Sir, from 12, from 11, sir.
From 11, no?
Yes, sir.
So you are free from 10 to 11. Then. Because I have already missed 2 classes, so I need to compensate it. Otherwise, your syllabus will be little delayed. Okay, as I already told you, tomorrow from 10 to 11, I'll take one extra class. So tomorrow we'll discuss we'll discuss the Bayesian estimation, and also we'll discuss the maximum level with an example. Okay, I'll share the PPT so that you just go through today. I'm just now sharing the PPT so that you can go through it and you can understand more. Okay. Any questions, or shall I disconnect? Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow. Huh? Thank you.